Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. Now I've not done a proper introduction yet because we got straight into a fantastic leg session. But we are now 2 hours deep, legs done and dusted. And now, because I'm an idiot, I'm going to try and interview Niall. But no, first of all mate, thank you so much for being part of the series. Episode number 6, Niall Darwen, my first Olympian on the channel. 11th place at last year's Olympia and plenty more to come. So the session itself was legs. This is going to be a bit of a kind of dual introduction because I didn't chat much shit in there. Really, really good session. Niall trains a very similar split to how I used to train when I competed, and his sessions are similar to a degree and really fucking enjoyable. Just briefly, because we didn't like speak too much in there, and also because the audio was quite loud in there, so I don't know how much sound's going to be able to use. Current training split, we'll just talk training quickly.
Yeah, so current training split right now, I have push, pull, rest, and then a push, leg day, which is today, and then my second pull day tomorrow. So 5-day split. In general, it's lower volume, so 2 working sets on some body parts that are lagging, 3, but in general, yeah, that's the whole split.
And you are currently, you've kind of pretty much just wrapped up your off season.
Yeah. So we're 15 weeks out of the first show.
Okay.
Which is going to be the Tampa Pro.
Cool.
And we've got Texas a week later. Hopefully win at least one of those, and then the Olympia, which will be about 17 weeks from now. Okay. So
17 weeks from now?
Yeah, it's flying.
Wow. That is wow.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like old when years just fly by like that. Cool. So, in terms of your career so far, how and why did bodybuilding appeal to you, and did you get into it really?
So, it's actually my first ever cameraman he left right before I started prepping for the Olympia. He's gone to live in Australia, so he got me into bodybuilding because we were in college, and I was just going into the gym. I used to be into American, well, I still am into American football, but I was like sort of playing it as well for like a local team here. And yeah, he's kind of, I can't remember how, we ended up being friends, training together. And he saw my physique and he was like showing me bodybuilding, showing me like videos of Arnold, Dorian, all that. And I thought it was cool, like kind of applied it a little bit more. And then I got injured playing American football, went to the hospital, found out I had a genetic knee disorder. And I'd been a few times when I was playing basketball and stuff, and it was never that serious. I'd always be better like 1 or 2 days later, but at the time, I'd literally not be able to walk. Yeah. So the doctor was like, you've been here enough times now, and he was like, he said to me, like, if you have a serious injury like this again, you'll need like your knee fully reconstructed, because I have pads of fat that are supposed to be on top of my knee underneath, so it blocks the fluid that lubricates the joint after a bit. So hence why low volume works a little bit better for me. But yeah, so I was still in the gym, just kind of like very lost at the time, because I thought that I was going to do something in that sport, whether it was playing or training or something to do with that, and just not being able to play anymore just like really sort of pushed me away from it. And I started working for my cousin on like a racetrack. I could only eat twice a day, and I think it was like 12-hour shifts, so naturally I lost a lot of weight, and people in the gym started asking me if I was getting ready for a show. And I just ended up signing up for one because of that. So yeah, I got a different job where I could eat more than twice a day. And then it was, the federation was UKUP.
Okay.
Yeah, back in the day, men's physique. I won that, I won my class, and I remember trying to leave, and the guy was explaining to me I have to do the overall, and I was really tired. It had been a long day.
I've been there.
And I was saying to him, I didn't have a coach, didn't have any bodybuilding friends. I was like, can I not just go? Like,
I've won. Have some food.
And the guy was literally leaning over to me. He's like, you've won your pro card. Like, you need to stay. So I was like, okay, fine. Went back on the stage, and they have those overalls where it's like the open bodybuilder.
Everyone up there,
yeah. So I did second at that overall, but won the men's physique overall. Got my pro card there. Then made another decision, which most bodybuilders would probably find stupid. I signed up for their amateur British finals. Right. So I, gave up the pro card, and they called me actually and were like, we have you already as a pro, and you've signed up for the British finals. I was like, yeah, I just want to do it. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, if I can win, British finals, maybe I can go somewhere with this. And they were like, you understand that if you lose this, you won't be a pro, and you'll have to try and get it again next year. I was like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, trained a bit more, won all 3 of the overalls then, so I beat the open bodybuilder as well.
Redemption.
I got my pro
Pro
card
card back.
Yeah, and then took a year off. And,
What year was that, by the way?
So that was 2018. I was
2018 was
20 years old,
Okay.
yeah. And then took a year out, started working in the gym, and then I did my first classic physique show with the MPC. So it was a 2-row show up here, Kingdom Classic actually. Won the overall there when I was about 23 pounds under my weight cap, and again, like self-coached. So the guy who ended up coaching me to get my pro card helped me like the day before the show, just with kind of carving up, because I had no idea how to do that. No, it's Phil. He doesn't don't coach anymore, but he's actually opening Ultraflex in Athens.
Oh wow!
In I think sometime later this year.
Okay.
So yeah, and I remember that one was funny as well, because when I went to weigh in, Ian asked me about 4 times if I'd meant to sign up for Classic Physique Open and not Men's Physique Juniors or Classic Physique First Times or anything. And then he came up to me afterwards. He's like, you know what, fair play, you won the overall. But in my clothes, you know, I did look really small. And then so I was natural up until that time.
Okay, amazing.
And then as I said, my coach Phil, he was my friend at the time, and he'd done that first 2018 Men's Physique show, so he'd seen me back then, and he was saying to me, you know, like,
the potential.
Yeah, the potential, you know, and he's like, I understand that, you know, you're probably a bit nervous, and I'd be more than happy to coach you. So he coached me, and then, so that was 2020 that, yeah. And then obviously COVID happened, so went through all that, came out of lockdown, started, becoming enhanced then, which is about mid 2021.
Yeah.
Trained with Dorian Yates, so that was a cool experience there. I got a good
tick in the box.
A good sort of physique assessment off him, and then turned pro about a year later. 22, yeah. And then got to here now.
It was a pretty epic sort of like from turning pro. Because what I like is obviously like I know your pro debut was the Toronto Pro 24, but obviously you did the Arnold in the UK because you got that invite in 22. So again, we did that show, which was really cool. But I know, like Carl said, you came last there.
Last.
And like that, just 2-year kind of transformation. Like it's such a cool like the visual. Like obviously, I was aware of you leading into 22 anyway, and then almost just seeing that and then seeing last year, just phenomenal. So just because I'm fascinated and interested, like one thing I wanted to know with regards to the Olympia in particular, first of all, like expectations going into it, because the number of guys qualified for Classic was ridiculous. Yeah,
so it was 64 guys, I believe, and it ended up being 58. So you had 6 people that, you know, illness or...
just what the fuck's the point?
58. So for me, going into the show, you know, I did have like a lot of hype from media pages and stuff. Obviously, it's, you know, and it's not the States, but it's Canada, so it's close enough. And you did have a few Olympians in that lineup that I'd beat. So for me personally, I did just want to place. I just wanted to be in that top 16. That was a goal. I did have people making like YouTube videos, putting me in like the top 5, the top 10 and stuff. And you know, I've got quite good at not listening to that anyway. Not that I don't appreciate their sort of enthusiasm, but so for me, I just wanted to place. And then I remember being backstage and, you know, seeing everyone walk around, and I was like, I must have been out of my fucking mind to want to expect a place.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Because everyone looked ridiculous. You know, I mean, you know how it is when.
But mate, I was just about to say, like backstage is the worst place because all
like
you do, you just look at everyone's strong parts. Like they could be lacking so much, but you'll look at if they've got a set of arms, you're like, fucking hell, he's gonna beat me. Look at his arms. And
that was literally it. And then being on stage, the first time I came on was I was pretty nervous, and then the second time, so I think I'm trying to think. We did our groups first, and I was next to Michael de Bull, and he'd won that Arnold that I'd lost. And I knew that I looked good next to him. So after I came back off, I was like, right, okay, I'm like fired up now. Did my individual, knew that I looked good then. And then, they did that first call out, and I was like, I'm not expecting to be in this because you have, you know, Chris, Wesley,
the really established names,
the people that
even
have been
before.
In there, people that have been in there since before I was competing. You know? So then they were still there. Like, I remember Chris, Terence, I even remember Wesley. I actually met Wesley at that 2018 show I did because it was Body Power.
Okay.
So,
cool.
he was there, and I remember looking at him thinking, how am I ever gonna
Yeah.
be that big? But yeah, that first call out, and then you know, the second call out, I was like, if I'm in this, I'll be over the moon. And you can see on the video, I'm like almost jumping with joy because they do it in alphabetical order. I think they called my name first or second, and I was like, oh shit.
Fuck, yeah.
And they always mispronounce my name.
Right.
They were calling me like Neil, they were calling me NIALL, they were calling me Nail. So I was like anything like that.
Yeah.
And I just went forward, and I was like, I couldn't believe I was in the second call out. And then obviously not being just pushed right to the end either, like staying next to the middle the whole way through. I don't actually think I got moved because I think Matt Gregor was next to me, and then it was a Brazilian guy that got 9th. So yeah, it was like insane experience, but it was much more than I had hoped for.
Yeah. No, I mean, the look was phenomenal and very well deserved, but the whole, like, I want to know, like, you know, because obviously there were so many people there. How long were you on stage for? Because I love bodybuilding, but I very rarely watch like live streams.
Yeah. So for the Olympia, I mean, I think for our call outs, we were on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many rounds of poses I did, but like I said, I was pretty much solidified in the same place. I was in, like, I didn't move from my spot, but they had, I think Logan Franklin was next to me, and they had an Asian guy, I can't remember his name, Korean guy, and he's really good as well. Those two guys, they got swapped around. Like I said, two guys that placed ahead of me got swapped. They had people swapping around a lot, but I was just in my spot. But I think that was the longest I've been on stage other than the Arnold, because you know, they did put us through our paces at the Arnold as well. But yeah, it was a while. It was a while.
And like, I don't know how, I don't want, like, if it's a controversial question or not, but like, how do you feel about that many people getting the qualification to the O? Do you feel like it dilutes it? Do you feel like there should be a better way of doing things?
I can see both sides of the argument. Like, I always try and see things from like a fan's perspective as well, because ultimately they fund the whole sport. You know, if you upset the fans, but I feel like bodybuilding fans are quite fickle, and they'll say something, but they won't really mean it. You know, I think if you cut down classic, a lot of people love classic, especially younger guys. And if we're on for a lot less, or if there's a lot less of us to watch, and you've got used to, you know, quite a big group for the last few years, I think people would say, unless they gave us more time, you know, individually. But personally, you know, I didn't care. Like, I thought it was better to be able to be like, you know, 58 people.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool thing, I suppose.
And like getting 11th in the world, and knowing that all these guys who sometimes haven't been there, basically everyone was there. The only person that was really missing was Terence Ruffin, you know. But aside from that, it was the most competitive it's ever been. I think everyone agrees with that. You had people that had won 3 pro shows that year in the 4th call out, you know, like. Crazy.
So that covers, like I said, the Olympia, and that. One of my questions is highlights of the career. We're not even going to bother with that because it's a no-brainer. But on the other side of that, so far, and obviously it has been a very successful career, have there been any major disappointments, regrets, obstacles?
Disappointments, there's absolutely the Arnold. Like, I didn't expect to win, but, you know, as I said, I just told you my amateur career. So, won my first show, won the men's physique overall. Won my second show, won all the overalls. Won my third show, won the overall. The 4th show, right before I turned pro, Lewis Widgery beat me.
Okay.
And Cuba was coaching him. And then 2 weeks later, I came back and I beat him and got my pro card. Right. So the worst thing that I'd experienced was getting second, and that felt humiliating at the time.
Okay.
Mostly because, you know, all my friends and stuff that had seen me do these past 3 shows.
There's a level of expectation,
And then going from that to the Arnold, like, people were just happy I was there, and I didn't really hear any. I heard people say, oh, you know, I thought you should have at least done a bit better, blah, blah, blah. But it was just more so being in a pro league and having beaten nobody. Then having that, like, carrying that weight on my back for 2 years.
But again, like,
it definitely helped.
Baptism of fire. Did you find, like, that you really could use that? I just realised, we both came last in our respective classes at the Arnolds. Unfortunately, my career didn't go quite the same way as Niall's. No, that's cool. And, like, you've not, touched wood, any injuries or anything anything like that?
No injuries. So no regrets. And then what was the?
Like, just obstacles or anything like that you?
I'd say probably honestly, and this was 22 season as well. Like, I dealt with really, really, really bad anxiety, like
Okay.
before stage and stuff. And that 22 show, like right before I got on stage, I had like a full-on panic attack about it.
Was that Arnold's or
No,
Pro
so
Card
this
win?
was before the pro card,
Okay.
the one that I lost,
Right.
and I looked awful. Like I could barely pose on stage. I remember it was awful. Like I was trying to get into my poses, my body just wouldn't listen. I didn't smile. You know, I remember Phil was like, you know, what the fuck's wrong with me? He's like, you're not smiling, you're not hitting your pose. I still managed to get second.
Yeah.
And it was a good lineup, and I think I literally hit like 3 poses, and then I kind of just stood there, turning around, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like he was saying to me, you have a physique good enough to basically not try in the comparisons and get like a close second. But yeah, I don't know what it was. I mean, I was dealing with a little bit of personal stuff at the time. I hadn't been on stage in 2 years, which was, you know, the longest I hadn't been on, and as well because I knew I was going for that pro card, and I'd heard like.
And that was 2022. You done that? Did you do NPC in 2020? Did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so I did the NPC 2020, and then, like I said, I'd won that. And then, that 2022 show, and even like little things, because I remember Dorian had said to me, you know, you'll probably get your pro card next year. And it's like, well, now I have to do it, you know? And then as soon as every time I'd been on stage, I'd always like never been moved and known that I was winning. So I hadn't even had to like necessarily compete for a win. So as soon as I got moved out of the middle, because they put me in the middle straight away and they moved me out straight away because I wasn't, you know, I just didn't deserve to win that day. And as soon as I did, I had this like crushing feeling, so I didn't even bother to pose, like, you know. And it was more sort of like, I wasn't deliberately doing it. You know, subconsciously, just nothing was, nothing going on. And I did talk to Cal about it a little bit, and he's a great coach anyway, especially, I don't know if you've seen his posts about like kind of managing an athlete's psychological needs as well, which, you know, if you're prepping someone for the Olympia, you 100% need to make sure that their mindset's in the right place. So that was something that I really, really like had to work on, especially because I had like people making videos about me, like, you know, Greg, do you
that level of expectation.
So he posted a video putting me in the top 5. That video had like 150k views on YouTube or something. You know, again, it helps like build up my following, but
of course. But that
150k people watching that, and they're casual bodybuilding fans. So, you know, if it's like, oh, this guy says he's going to get 5th and he gets 11th,
it's a failure.
But
I think that's something that, like, speaking to Samson, I really like started to kind of take that away. Because I've never been in the position that you guys are. Like that external pressure that you can't avoid. Like Samson's got an incredible mindset about it. Like he's like, just, you know, I do one thing, people love it, and then also people think I'm a dickhead for doing it. And you do the other thing, and it's the other way around. You can't win. But yeah, well, I think when you've got that many eyes on you, it's gonna play a part, and there has to be a huge amount of mental resilience.
I mean, like, you've got to manage it in your own way. I feel like some people. So really, it's kind of a shame. It's like the sacrifice. I don't watch bodybuilding videos anymore at all, just because.
He's exactly the same.
I just don't like these videos that I watched in my younger preps. Like, you know, just to kind of get me hyped, to get me more into the mood. I can't do that anymore because it's like,
if you put another one on, ruined.
You know, they're talking about someone who's, you know, for example, I know that this Arnold, Logan Franklin, he just absolutely killed it. Got second, and people will be talking about him and putting him, you know, you can't really not talk about him being in the top 5 or that, you know, writing him right up there because he was battling Mike. But, you know, if I watch that and I, you know, listen to these people for an hour and a half, put him on this pedestal, it's subconsciously going to make that more of a challenge for me. I just beat Logan at the Olympia. He was like 13th, 14th or something. So I just don't watch the videos anymore. You know, I kind of have to find other things to watch at other sports.
It's fun. It's shit when you get into a sport because you love it, and then, like you say, you're almost kind of turned off periods of it. Let me have a look. Oh, that kind of ties in a little bit because, like you said, your interests within bodybuilding are limited. Interests outside of bodybuilding? I know you mentioned the American football.
Yeah. So American football, I've always liked that sport. I play a lot of games, you know. I do read a lot of books, so I'm quite a bit of a nerd outside.
I love a book. Absolutely love a book.
Outside of it, and then I've got a little puppy at the minute.
I was just about to say,
I
watch I know you've not done a YouTube really for a while, but your day in the life with with Eli.
Eli, yeah.
Because I've got a pom, and they're just the best. And look, watching him,
honestly, so like spending so much, I'm just looking forward to being able to prep and like do all my steps with him, because it's a million times better, you know, just going out. But yeah, it's like, I guess as well, like, as like grow and mature, it's like, even though I am where I am now, kind of appreciating that bodybuilding isn't a be all end all, you know, there is more to life than that as well.
I think that's a good like attitude, just, and also in terms of longevity within bodybuilding, because it can be so intense and so consuming, and obviously, like you said, kind of dealing with that mental pressure that others, and you know, we like, that was one of the things I noticed when I retired, was I could take that pressure off myself. So a couple more questions, if I may. Is there anything people often misunderstand about you?
This is a good question. I think, you know what, it's a bit of a dickhead answer.
No,
really,
there's no such thing. Like,
I think a lot of people, I'll always hear like, oh, you're humble, you're humble, you're humble. I don't take that as like an insult. I do think that if someone at my level is humble, it would come with a little bit of self-depreciation. You know, like, I know what I'm capable of. Like, in my head, the way I, you know, if someone could read my mind, it'd be like completely different to how you are in person. I don't feel the need to go around acting like, you know, I'm
talking the talk.
But I know I'm capable of, and I know what I think of myself, and you know, I know what I can achieve. It's like why I'm such a big fan of someone like Phil Heath, you know, because he's very open about his mindset. But I do have a similar mindset to that. Like, I think people kind of think that I go to the shows, and because like I said, you know, when you asked me about the Olympia placing, I just wanted to place, but at the same time I know I'm capable of more of that. So I think it's not one thing that people misunderstand about me is that maybe I don't have that mindset of, like, you know, I could
that winning confidence.
Which
but I think that's a
absolutely
really
do.
I mean, there's two things there. One, there's nothing wrong with being realistic and actually appreciating how good and how quality the classic physique category is and competitive, but also having that like mental strength internally and not feeling the need to kind of shove it down people's throat. I mean, people like it goes two ways. Like Nick Walker's obviously a big one, who like he talks a good game and he backs it up. Like it's like when I watch Nick kind of sometimes talking like that, I don't resonate with that sort of like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, like, I can feel that belief and that drive, but I'm not feeling like, fucking, this guy's a bit of an arrogant cock.
No,
it's an interesting line. Like, and again, some people will love it, and some people like you say, kind of presume that maybe you're not as positive as you should be.
Like, I see it as a tool, you know, so I just use it, I apply it in here, you know, apply it to tick every single box outside, you know, when I'm home, like steps, food, rest, all that every single day instead. And then also just not, like I talked about, you know, not using it to burn myself out, because if I do just talk a load of shit, I mean, first of all, it's not me, so it's, you know, it'd be a bit of a character. And then also I'm just going to attract more attention, which I don't really want to. Not that I don't want the attention, but you know,
you don't want, again, it's pressure. Because the more, I think the more people like know that you're talking a big game, like people hate like success. So they'll just want to try to tear you down. And when, like you said, you know, you get top 10 at the Olympia this year, somewhere like in that top 10, fucking unreal. But then the people who like are on you will be like, I didn't come top 3. This is a fucking failure. So that was word failure, and now this is the penultimate question. Last question is a mystery question. What does success mean to you? And that's a very open question. Take it how you will.
So I think success to me is kind of like finding something that you love that loves you back, and then kind of being able to, I guess, kind of use that to live your best life.
Okay,
type of thing. So, you know, I've been able to find this, like I said, you know, I always wanted to be an athlete. Didn't think I'd be in, you know, pretty much a thong, on stage as an athlete. That's the thing. But you know, still managed to find that, kind of overcome the challenges that come with this sport, and then be able to monetize it and, like, you know, be able to live like my own life, and, you know, like financially take care of myself, and like, you know, to be able to travel like have the opportunities that I have. You know, even like, you know, these guys that sponsor me, I get to go to the States every few months.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
go
that's
to
really cool.
meet all these different people, train. You know, obviously they pay me well. You know, I have my own coaching as well to take care of myself, and you know, be able to feed myself, feed Eli. You know, me and my girlfriend live together. You know, we can do pretty much, you know, whatever we like to live. You know, simply, but anything that we want to do, you know, we can do it. And yeah, so it's, I think for me, like, that's kind of success. Like, I don't need, definitely want a cool car one day, but you know, I don't need one. I don't need to say I'm not, you know, not successful until I have that. I think it's like on my own terms type of thing. You know, I don't have anything to prove to anyone in terms of my own life. It's just my career at this point, and I'm happy enough with that.
That's a fantastic answer. I really like that one. Right, so the mystery question is something I have started doing, which is Tyler, who was the last guest, wrote a question in this book. I haven't read this question yet. So this is going to be interesting. Yvette, my partner, read it, but she didn't give me any clues. So, you host a secret dinner party and have to invite 3 bodybuilding guests, past or present, dead or alive. Who are they and why? That's quite a good one. Good job,
That is a really good one. 3
bodybuilding guests.
3 bodybuilding
dead or alive,
guests.
past or present.
I think one of them would have to be Marcus Rule to see how much he can eat.
Fair. Good answer. Absolute beast. Anyone out there who's not aware, check him out.
I think another one would have to be Arnold.
Okay.
You know, you can't, if you can invite anyone, and you can invite any bodybuilder, and Arnold's not on the list, I think it's a crazy list. If we're talking Arnold at that time.
Yeah, Peacock, yeah.
And then for the last one, I think I'd like to do Luke Sando.
Okay.
Because I always was a huge fan of him when I was younger, and I always felt like we would have got on. I would have been able to, you know.
I always get way too emotional about Luke, so I'm not gonna. I think you get on. You would have got on.
Yeah, it's a huge fan of
really well.
Stuff. It's funny because he's actually someone that kind of pushed me more into competing, because I was doing my men's physique and just wasn't really interested in anything else. And then watching all his videos, his podcast about anything actually made me care more about like open and you know, a huge fan of it now, and like made me care more about competing. So
real bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was very pro. You know, the true kind of vibes. Yeah. Oh, that's a good list. That's a good list. Cool, mate. Honestly, that interview was fantastic. That session was fantastic.
Fun, yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can only say all the best for Tampa, Texas, if you need it, and the Olympia, mate. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, guys, that's the episode wrapped up. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to put Niall's YouTube page, Instagram details below, so check him out. And again, a massive thank you, mate. Thank you so much. See you later,
guys.